him up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPUp's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving the Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party. Moolah Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, Roman Reigns and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw him up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPUp's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving the Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPUp podcast. I'm your host, Mari Forth, and with me, as always, my co-host on a different podcast, Miss Sarah Carradine. Sarah, welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPUp. This is not Crime Scene, but welcome to the Wrestling RHAPUp.
Thank you very much. It's Gilda Tintin Ventura here.
I'm sorry. Yes. Gilda Ventura.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I know everything about wrestling. I'm a total expert. I can't wait to give you the benefit of all my experience.
Yes, exactly.
It's a crime how little I know. It's a crime.
And with us today, our returning guest, Taurean. How are you doing?
Hello, you guys. Thank you for having me back. I'm glad to be here, and we have so much to discuss.
Yes,
we have so much to discuss.
Like you can see, my co-host Mascot is not here again. I told you he wasn't going to be. He's out living his fabulous best life. Okay, that's fine. So this production will be a little iffy. I'm telling you right now. I say it every time he is not here. He is the production wizard. So we are going to try our best to bring up as many pictures, to be as on it as he is, but nobody replaces him. Matt, we miss you and we love you to pieces. So I have two returning guests who have been here within the last month. So this is going to be fun. It is also ladies' night. It's Taurus night. We're going to be really focused on like some of the more fun, wackier elements in wrestling this week. But before we get into that, we do have a little bit of news coming from last week's episode. If you listen to my episode with Mo and OD last week, we talked about the Tribal Court segment, the Tribal Court of Roman Reigns. It was a very good segment. If you haven't gone back and watch it, I definitely suggest it. That segment, we talked about it. It went over, rumors are it went over about 20 minutes. It was about like around a 40-minute segment. It took a few ad breaks. And then at one point it was ad free. Well, the ratings have come out. You know, here we don't really care about ratings, but this is something we have to definitely talk about. The Tribal Court segment last week on Smackdown drew the highest ratings in wrestling in recent memory. So it averaged about 3 million viewers for the quarter-hour segment, which again is very high for the most recent wrestling data. Like, of course, back in the heydays in the 90s, wrestling was like averaging 5, 7, like really high millions of viewers every week. Since the Attitude Era began and all of that, you're lucky to average about 1 to 2 million viewers a week. Smackdown moved to Fox has averaged around 2-ish, but averaging 3 million viewers, especially in also the key demo, averaging 1.23 million viewers, which is the 18 to 49 demo. That's big news. Again, we are not ratings warriors as some people are on the internet, but that has to be said because it proves that this storyline really is drawing people, and that's not insignificant as a niche product as it is. So shout out to Roman Reigns, the Bloodline. It's been a great storyline so far. It always keeps us on our toes. Taurean, any thoughts about the Bloodline just in general, the storyline in general?
Nothing much more to add to what you said. I agree completely. Just on top of the Bloodline in general, I love the Usos. I was an avid fan of WWE when they debuted with Tamina. And whether you believe me or not, I literally remember thinking to myself, I really hope that they stick around long enough to get what they deserve in this company. and they're doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It might have taken longer, but they are reaping the benefits of hard work. And whether they ever see this podcast or not, hey you guys, but they should know that it is much deserved.
Yes. Sarah, your thoughts on all of the bloodline stuff?
Well, I love the Usos. I said that last time I was here. Just decided that I like them. The storylines are a little elastic for me because I don't watch every
That's
week.
true. Yeah.
So I just find them where they are, and they're always extremely good value.
Yeah. Perfect description. And this week on SmackDown, it was just kind of like a follow-up. Roman wasn't there. Jay had we talked about it last week. Jay had issued a challenge. This week we learned that Jimmy is injured in a medical facility. It's more than likely a kayfabe injury. Yeah, we're pretty sure it's kayfabe injury. This basically just brought back main event Jey Uso. So main event Jey Uso is back, which I love to see it. It seems like he's coming for Roman's title because of what Roman did to his brother. So I think we're on track to get a really good story. I don't know if it's the end. They've done so good at making this storyline mold and keep it fresh and weave it to I don't know where the ending is going. I'm gonna be real. I'm just loving the ride here.
Right.
So again, shout out to them for great ratings. Other than that, again, if you haven't, please go subscribe to our networks, reality TV RHAPUp's feed, where you not only get us, but you get a whole bunch of other really cool reality TV based content. So you can do that by going to robhasawebsite.com/RHAPUp's feed. That's RHAPUP. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our feed by going to robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed to subscribe there. If you aren't, you can stop right now, or you can keep listening, but you could come and see our pretty faces here on YouTube by going to the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube page, searching up Wrestling RHAPUp, and you'll see us. You'll see some of the pictures we bring up, maybe we'll see. But yeah, so go and subscribe there as well. All right, enough of the news. Let's get into some fun stuff. Let's get into the highlights of the week. This week, the highlights of the week in wrestling. You can find it's not gonna be a playlist, but you can find the videos in the description and in your audio chats wherever you see your audio notes. We gotta start off with we've been talking about them for a minute. And the story's still going. We got to talk about the Judgment Day. This week on Monday Night Raw, the Judgment Day coming off a little bit of a rift. Sarah, what are your thoughts on what's going on with the Judgment Day of it all?
Well, somebody's done something, and it's their business to discuss in private. Rhea doesn't want to talk about it in public, apparently. And one of my favorite running bits is that the crowd won't let Dom speak. And again, I got that last time I was on the show. I got it again on this time I was on the show. And, Murray, that just is about my delight at the buy-in of the crowd. And I've got other notes on the crowd as we go through the clips that we saw this time. It's one of the biggest delights of wrestling and one of my biggest surprises as an absolute novice to it is how invested the crowd is, how much part of the show the crowd is, and obviously there's give and take between the performers and the crowd, but like just how kind of much juice there is in that. So I
agree.
The commentators saying, "Is it safe for Dominic to get that close to the crowd?" It's this wonderful story that everybody's buying in on, including the commentators.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say that no offense to all of our Buffalo friends here, our upstate New Yorkers, but Judgment Day were some of the only people that elicited really good reactions from that crowd. That crowd was kind of dead for some stuff that I popped huge for. And I don't know if it's the crowd itself, or it's just because we came off a very big pay-per-view in London where we talked about it, how that crowd was hot and ready to go, or how the follow-up night on Raw, they were in Baltimore and Baltimore was raucous as well. So Buffalo felt a little bit muted, except for here in the Judgment Day. And that's why the Judgment Day, they run Raw. They say they run Raw. They went over to NXT a little bit too. Like, it's hard to cover them because they're there every week. That sounds crazy to say, but it's like Judgment Day is so interwoven into the whole fabric of the show. I'm almost like, I feel like I talk about them too much. You know what I'm saying? I feel like are you listeners? Let me know. Are you getting too fed up with me talking about the Judgment Day? But it's hard. They run the show. What do you think, Taurean?
Everything you think. No, I have so many thoughts, questions, concerns. I have a lot of thoughts. So basically, I feel like Dominic is the one that's benefiting the most from this stable while contributing the least.
Yes. And that's exactly how you're supposed to feel.
Even I can see that.
And the best part about it, he's getting better. He's learning things. He's hit the gym. He's leaned up. He's started to get better looking tattoo work. Like, whether that's part of the kayfabe or not, like his friends have him in the gym in a quality tattoo shop. Give him like 2 more years. He's gonna think he's Eddie.
Oh, he already thinks he's Eddie. That's for sure.
No, like he's gonna think like
he's gonna be Eddie.
Like the in-ring work is gonna match
exactly.
I feel like Damian Priest, he gets the MVP award because he had the most to gain from this conglomeration, I feel, because everyone felt that he had all the tools, but just his character wasn't getting across, if that makes sense.
Nope.
But on top of that, he's in that age range with Santos in LA, where if anyone needs the shot right now, it probably needs to be him.
That's very true. That's some good analysis
but
there. Right.
I got something for everybody. Like Rhea, I just recently saw her say somewhere she was more okay with, putting certain people over or allowing her time to be spent more so with these Judgment Day storylines instead of focusing on her title reign itself. Because like a week ago, I was like, ma'am, why are we seeing you beat up Natty like the 3rd time in a row? Like, you don't want to hear what I got to say about that. Like, you're too big to not be fighting EO, punching Asuka in the face, or trying to bench press Bianca. Like,
well, so that's the problem. That is not her fault. Like, we'll talk about it, but a lot of the most impressive women are on SmackDown, and she is a Raw brand only champion. So, So I agree. Those are the people we want to see her fight, but right now she can't do that. So I didn't hear this report, but my thoughts of her saying that, if that's true, I believe you. But I didn't hear myself.
It varies.
It's hard.
Truth is elastic.
Yeah. It's hard because it sounds very disrespectful. If it sounds very disrespectful, you're saying that some other women in the locker room don't deserve your time. And
I'll try to find it for you.
Please. And you don't want the champion really saying that. We don't know if it's in character or not as well. But it's hard because I kind of agree with her. We were talking about it last week. That the Raw Women's division is lacking. Like, who is it that can arguably, honestly, truly feel like a threat to her? With Becky, Trish, and Zoe Stark caught up in their own storyline.
Don't get me started on that mess.
Well, we'll talk about it later. With them caught up in their own storyline, the rest of the division is non-existent. We talked about it last week. The women's tag team little gauntlet thing brought out all of the women's Raw roster, and I mean, it's like Dana Brooke, Emma. It's like people who have not been built up to be any kind of a threat. So she's eating up on Natalie. Oh my God, I'm channeling that. She's beaten up on Natalya 3 times in a row, but it's because Natalya is a veteran. Natalya is the
Right.
person that people respect. So yeah, I'll stare up at the lights for Natalya, but I'm not gonna stare up at the lights for Dana Brooke. No offense, all those Dana Brooke fans out there. I love Dana Brooke. I do. I truly do. But the you can't tell me that Dana Brooke is on the same power level as Rhea Ripley. So I get it. So it's really hard for me to like hear that, but also I get what she's saying. So to me, what it sounds like is she's gonna waste her time with the Judgment Day until Becky and Trish are done, and then she's probably gonna face Becky. That would be that if I had to put a hardcore bet in on this, I would say that that would be the case. Sarah,
I wouldn't even. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I just want to. I'll get back to you because I know you got your Finn stuff, but I want to hear what Sarah has to say because I know Sarah's a stan. So
Go, Sarah.
I am such a stan, and her
For so many
ringside, her out of ring action is impeccable. She's one of the best not in the ring performers, if you know what I mean. Standing on the side.
Yeah.
Reacting. Her reactions are so clear. She's so charismatic to me.
So charismatic.
So charismatic. But she can just stand outside the ring. Is that called ringside? I don't know. She can stand ringside and just draw eyes to her. And she's not trying to. She's looking at the match. She's following the match. And there's just such an extraordinary life to her. I'm a big fan, a huge fan of hers. So it's making me sad now that you're saying that no offense, but the women she should be wrestling with are on the different side and she can't get to them.
Well, now I feel bad. I meant it more so. It's kind of like how like it seemed for a second that other storylines were getting pushed to the side in favor of devoting more time to the bloodline segments. It's kind of more so on that range. Like the Judgment Day is doing their whole thing, so the boys have their storyline. Dom is fighting with Cody. Her time, it looks to be more utilized at ringside and in backstage segments or teasing a feud, but not wasting a match with Bianca that they're probably going to save for WrestleMania or something similar. You get what I'm saying? That's what it seems like. And I bet you that her draft to that brand was to keep her away from the people that they're saving the matches for.
I think her draft to that brand is to bring the star power to that brand. That's serious. That's serious. Because if she's on that brand too, I'm not watching Raw for the women, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
yeah,
that's why Becky, they stayed on Raw. They have to have some sort. I don't know how because even Charlotte was not drafted, from what I understand, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since the draft, but Charlotte was on, like, she was charlotting. She was out when the draft happened. So when she walked onto SmackDown asking to face Asuka, we were all shocked because I would have thought she would have went to Raw to face Rhea, but I agree in a sense with you, Taurean, because I do think they're trying to extend Rhea's they're trying to extend her reign here, and they're trying to extend her reign while not harming other women, right? Does that make sense? So she's gonna beat up on Natty. Zelina's on SmackDown too. It's just like a lot of the women who we want to see her face, we also don't want to see her bury them, in a sense of them just keep going up against her and losing. So it's a delicate balance. It's a delicate balance for her. A lot of people want her to be more focused on the women's division than in the Judgment Day. I've even said it, but I need a storyline behind it. I need them to build people up. Like, where's Piper Niven? I don't know if she's injured somewhere. Like,
apparently Nikki Cross graduated from college.
Oh, good for Nikki. Like, yeah,
right. So I'm just like, where are these people?
Yeah,
I'm happy.
It's just like what's like Indy. Oh my God, Indy Hartwell is on Raw. Like, so it's like they do have talented women on Raw. They just haven't had anybody who's already has a name, and it doesn't feel like they're headed toward that direction. Yeah, we'll talk about what I think they're doing with the Raw women later, but any thoughts on Finn? So what happened is Finn kind of wanted to air out the Judgment Day's dirty laundry, and that's when Rhea's like, no, we're not finna do that out here, player. Is anybody behind Finn in the sense? Like, I know I am. I think I understand why Finn is so mad at Seth Rollins, and I kind of like the Finn and Seth Rollins storyline more than I like the Senior Money in the Bank storyline. But I think this all kind of works together.
It does.
Yeah, Sarah, what your thoughts?
Oh, I like it's freaking Rollins. I do love people. I've come to love people shouting at each other. That was a bit of a slow.
He came out with buffalo wings, yo. Like
Yeah,
that man is a menace.
Yeah, I know. I think it's I like that story. The idea that there's a private rift inside Judgment Day. I think that storyline's a little muddy. They're trying to put it across as clearly as they can, but I don't think there's not enough impetus to just say, I should have won, but you won, or you beat me when like that's not interesting. There are more interesting stories. I think you're right about Seth Rollins and sorry, Finn. Is it Finn? Yes.
Finn, yep.
Yes. I mean, and I'm a fonder of Finn than perhaps I should be. There was a moment when he and Damien, I thought they were going to kiss. It was like the tension. Instead, it was a manly handshake. So I just think I'm glad if that's the end of the beef, because it wasn't interesting. The interesting part was Rhea saying it's private business, and then you go, oh, so we want to know what it is. We want to know what it is, and it sort of wasn't anything. So it was just come, I've got something really good to tell you, and then it's not actually that good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and who knows if the rift is really even not rifting. I guess the interesting part of most of this is Seth Rollins like barely escaping with his championship every time, He
did. There was a melee at one point, and Seth used a chair, and then he opened it up and sat on it in the middle of the ring, and I thought, oh, this is just brilliant. This is what we're here for, right? This is what we're here for.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, any final thoughts on Judgment Day before we move on? Judgment Day or Seth Rollins, for that matter.
I love Seth Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins is the man. He truly is.
I was gonna wait until the Oscar part, but I'll probably forget. It's a very missed art form for the heel champion to just take their title and run. I love it so much. Like they run like they stole something, and it's just like, yes, let me get out of here quickly.
Exactly. All right, so let's go over to SmackDown, where we were just talking about the women's division on SmackDown. Touched by Jesus. Like, oh my gosh, this episode of SmackDown was so good, mostly because like we said, we didn't get too much of the bloodline stuff because Roman wasn't there. So Bianca and Charlotte actually opened the show. Bianca opened the show, let's be real. Queen Bianca.
And did it open? It opened.
Yes, and then Charlotte came out. It was so funny when Bianca came out. James, my husband, was like, I saw on Twitter people were saying they should have a bodysuit off, and then immediately Charlotte comes out, and we were like, and there it is. Like, these women are so beautiful. Good. Like, not to say anything of they are also multi-talented. We'll get into all of that, but I just want to appreciate how beautiful both of these women look. Just amazing. Okay. All right. Okay.
There was a fantastic thing where Charlotte misspoke a word, and they were both trying so hard to keep it together. And because we got the close up with the cameras, I thought, oh, they're friends. Like, it was so nice to have this little, like, they're really professional. They have their positions. They have their, calling each other out, what's going to happen and who's the best and all of that. And underneath it was just this little lift of the curtain of They actually really like each other. I thought that was charming.
Yeah, people know that me and Charlotte, we have lots of beef, but not real beef. I'm just playing.
No.
I just again, it's more her booking. I really appreciate Charlotte more when she's not the champion. Like truly, like when she's like chasing or when she's like in these type of modes, when she's doing these promos, when she's not the champion, I like her better because I feel like she's not hogging that spot. You know what I'm saying? And this was funny. I love this. So Bianca finally comes out. She's like, I'm finally getting my rematch. I had to jump through hoops to get my rematch. So I was like, Bianca she loves talking to me. She just loves talking directly to me as a black woman. She's like, do y'all see this? Do y'all see all of these hoops I had to jump through to get to my rightful championship, to get,
Sorry.
and
you just walk on in here.
Yes, exactly. It was like I was like feeling that. I was like, yes, Bianca, we get the subtext here. And then Charlotte comes out and is like, well, if you win, maybe we should do this at SummerSlam, which kind of is proving that both Bianca and Charlotte, we try and talk about alignments here. Matt doesn't care about alignments, but it does feel like they're both kind of erring on the side of tweener / leaning towards babyface, like the good guys. And the moment they're like shaking hands, they're like, okay, fine, like bet, let's do SummerSlam. I'm like, how y'all just gonna overlook Asuka like that? If I'm Asuka, I'm over here like, well, fuck my drag, right? Like, just forget me. Like, I'm the champion. And I love this moment because you just knew it was gonna go right, like because of
exactly.
Yeah.
That color contrast is crazy. Like
It's
whoever designed those suits said, you wear the blackest braid, you wear the bleachiest blonde. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, Bianca makes most of her stuff. I'm pretty sure she makes she makes everything she wears.
Oh, if she did those pearls, this girl needs
pearls and sequins. Oh,
yeah,
just divine.
My heart.
They were in Rob's hometown, weren't they? Weren't they in Raleigh, North Carolina?
Yes, they're in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Flair
country. Yes, North Carolina is indeed Flair country, because Ric Flair is from North Carolina. He worked all of the independent shows back in the day in North Carolina, and Charlotte was actually born in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where she gets her stage name from, the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Fun fact.
Yes, a fun fact. So if we go advance the pictures here, we do get they announced, this is the opening, but they announced that they will be main eventing, and I was like, yes, the women are back to main eventing. And it's so funny because after Charlotte and Bianca say, yeah, like Bianca's like, okay, if I win, I am going to we're gonna see each other at SummerSlam. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. So now Charlotte wants Bianca to win. So we get a small little clip of Charlotte, like she's like humming along, like I'm about to leave, to Adam Pearce, and she's like, I have nothing to worry about. I'm gonna let Bianca win. I'm gonna leave. And then Bayley and Io come up. They're like, well, we're gonna stay. And then now Charlotte's, oh, well, now I gotta stay. And I was laughing so hard because Adam Pearce is like, I just want like one thing to like go right for a second. Like, do you guys like have to always interfere on everything? Like, he's been trying to get the women's like the title division like set for like months now.
And he thought he had a night off. He
did. And I thought this was just amazing because the storytelling that they are telling is a logical story that is also fun. It's leading towards making Asuka's championship feel like the title to have. It truly does. So yeah, we got a shot here of Io Sky. I don't know what she's playing with her Money in the Bank briefcase here. Oh yeah. So meanwhile,
it's the they cut the hair. They cut her.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Okay, yeah. And we'll go to that right now before we get to the absolute main event. So Io and Bayley are sticking around because Bayley had a match against Zelina Vega, and this was a fun match as well. I especially love the chancla spot, mostly because both of these women are Hispanic. So I was like, so when Zelina started hitting Bailey with the chancla, I was like, Bailey must be having like flashbacks. I know she has to be. A very fun match. Zelina, of course, she loses because she is that rootable babyface where we're waiting for her to get that big win. But the biggest thing, like Sarah said, they had Shotzi's hair with them. Sarah, what were your thoughts about the hair? Shotzi's hair and the aftermath.
Absolutely. I loved it. Anyway, I love that they were fighting in the girls' bathroom. If you went to an all-girls school, you would know something about that. And the fight choreography in that, it looked like a cramped bathroom. Obviously, it must have been bigger for them to be filming it there. And that was, cutting someone's hair is a very dominant act. So that was great anyway. And then the payoff was spectacular. Spectacular.
Yeah. Exactly. Keep going, Sarah. Yeah. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll keep going with the images. Yes. This was such a great fight, and I did like the commentators at one point saying, "Come on now, ladies. Hey." Isn't that look at the athleticism, look at the skill of these women is just, something else.
Exactly. Just so good. Taurean, what did you think? Well, any thoughts on Bailey and Zelina before we talk about Shotzi?
I find Bailey. I hope no one hurts me for this one. Bailey is so aggravating to me.
She's supposed to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I was like on that roster and she was literally the way that Charlotte marched back into the stadium, I would have done the same thing. Like, Bailey could have waited for Charlotte to leave. And then she's so annoying.
Yeah.
But Zelina is great. She like, not enough love is shown to those Herkaramas and those Poison Ramas that they're doing. Like, they're doing some good work there, keeping Lucha Libre alive as well.
Yes.
But so I thought we weren't supposed to open the briefcase.
So, well, I mean, you can open the briefcase.
Austin Theory accidentally opened it last year.
Like,
so
you're not supposed to like really open it, but honestly, it just has a stack of papers in there. It's not a stack. Contract. It has a contract for the title in there. It's an empty briefcase. Let's be real. But
I say all that to say, I didn't see Bailey and them bullying Shotzi, I guess, in the past week or two. So
it was last week.
I saw her cut her hair. So when they pulled the hair from the briefcase, I'm just like, ma'am, what were you intending to do with this? Like, are you gonna wave it?
It was just their trophy. There's like their trophy over, like, controlling Shotzi, and then we get Shotzi talking.
And
about,
then Shotzi, oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And she is on the screen there. What a
very Molly Holly of her.
Moment.
Yeah.
So worried.
Shotzi, Shotzi.
Oops, sorry.
Shotzi goes on to then shave off her head. Like, she's like, you don't control me, I control me. It's very much looking like a breakdown or a loss of control. I'm interested to see where that goes, because I do love when we get women's characters that have like crazy mental breaks if they're done in a good way. I've always said, like, Luna Vachon's like crazy character is one of my favorite female characters that they just don't do enough. Like, whenever during the Divas era, when they did crazy, it was like a crazy girlfriend type stereotype crazy. Like, I don't know, and not anything like that steps on mental health or mental illness, but just
right.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? There is
finally had enough.
Exactly. Like, there's a really good, if they get it right, there's a really good character in there, and that's what they're going with. In real life, Shotzi wants to cut her hair because her sister is suffering from cancer and is going through chemo, and she wanted to show solidarity, so she wanted to cut her hair with her sister.
Fantastic.
I mean,
not
yeah,
fantastic that she has cancer, but what an amazing gesture. I mean, I was thinking like it's that whole thing about women and hair, and often in a breakup or in grief, or you go to the hairdresser and you say, cut it all off. Cut it all off. And if your hairdresser knows you really well, they say, maybe we don't cut it off. But shaving heads in solidarity is such a beautiful gesture. Although when my best friend was 20 years ago was going through it, and I said, I'll shave my head. She said, don't be stupid. I thought, please stay off it. But like,
I love you so much.
I love you so much. What can I do? Because you almost want, I mean, in a way, it's not like it doesn't actually help them, unless it does. But you're thinking like, I want to take something onto myself from you, and I can't take your pain, I can't take your cancer. But I can sacrifice. It's like a symbolic sacrifice, I think.
It can be a good character shift or turn for her if they allow it to be, like if they allow her to flesh it out and give her progressive matches, because lucky for her, her outside already matches that shaved head kind of look. Her moveset is chaotic. So with that story, fueling her, I feel like this could be that once or twice in a career, gimmick change that allows them to tap into all they want to be as a superstar. But that's just what I got from watching that really quick last night.
I completely agree. I like this for Shotzi. It's almost like a new beginning. It's a way to be solid with her sister. I'll try and put the link to her sister's GoFundMe in the show notes. If I find it, and again, I'm behind on production. But
I will look it for you. I will look at it for you.
Thank you. So yeah, so if anybody wants to donate, you can help donate to her sister's GoFundMe. So yeah, prayers, positive thoughts to Shotzi and her family. I'm glad to see that she can use this also for her career as well. That sounds weird, but you know what I'm saying. Next up, and finally, like we had the women headlining the show, and wow, what a good match this was. So it was supposed to be Asuka versus Bianca for the WWE Women's Championship. Of course, we knew that shenanigans would abound, and man, oh man, were these some fun shenanigans. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. So we get a pretty good match from Asuka and Bianca. I've said it on the podcast before. I like Asuka and Bianca when they do matches, but there is something, it's just like Bianca has almost like too many wrestling soulmates.
Yep.
So like it's still good. Like I know that it's a good match, but it's just not on par with her other wrestling soulmates.
I think they're both holding back.
Yes, that could be it too, because they don't really, you don't really go full tilt on a Smackdown. You kind of wait till a big moment for a pay-per-view. But I also just think it's hard for me, like for me, like Bianca, Bayley, Becky, Sasha, like the chemistry that Bianca has with those three women, it is so hard to top. And I can't even tell you which one I like out of the three of them, to be quite honest. Like, I want to say that Bianca and Bayley have the best in-ring chemistry, but the moment I say that, I didn't think, oh, but her series with Becky was extremely good. And then I think about, but damn, her and Sasha, aka Monet, yeah. I was like, Mercedes Monet. I was like, they're really good as well. And so it's like, those are her top three wrestling soulmates to me. So it like when it gets to her and Asuka, it's still good, but it's not at the level of any of her feuds with the three of them. And then when it was Bianca versus Io, I was like blown away at what was that? Backlash. Their match, I was like, it was amazing. And it reminded me that I hadn't seen them fight since they were both in NXT, which was years ago. And I mean, one-on-one like that, going all out, should I say. You know, they've been doing the damage control stuff for years now, but the first like one-on-one full tilt, her and Io was like, oh, and it wasn't the first, but it was just one of the ones where I was like, damn, like I didn't realize like how good of chemistry they had together. So I'm not trying to say I think that Bianca and Asuka had a bad match or anything. I'm just saying Bianca is just so damn good in the ring, and she has so much good chemistry with so many women. It's almost like it's splitting hairs. And
Right.
Asuka is an amazing talent in her own right. Maybe it's just because I know they're both so good that my expectations are up here, but maybe they should be down here for a random SmackDown match that we knew was going to go to a no contest. But I said all that to say, I loved everything about this match. The shenanigans,
Sure did.
Bailey and Io showing up at ringside first with I'm like, y'all didn't.
So
Adam
good.
Pearce ask y'all to get tickets. I mean, like
You didn't have to go anywhere.
And then Charlotte comes in with her tickets. I'm like, queens of buying tickets. Like, you didn't need these tickets.
They got to be able to say they sold out the show.
Exactly. I'm so confused. Sarah, what were your thoughts on everything that happened?
I loved this match. I mean, they're so good. Like, they're so good. I know I've only, this is only my 5th time, and everything I know about wrestling I learned from you and Matt, but I can see and respond to wonderful athleticism, an incredible fire that they both have. Like, you talk about holding back, they might be holding back in terms of the power of the moves or something like that, but they're not holding back in terms of the expression of their physical bodies and their relationships in space, if you know what I mean. Sort of from a theatrical point of view.
Exactly.
It was such a good match. I loved it. And then shenanigans.
So some of the first, I'm trying to remember all of the shenanigans that happened. So I think at first it was like damage control comes over. Charlotte tries to hit. Oh God, I can't even remember now. Taurean, help me out here. And Sarah, advance the slides.
I think that she was she aiming the big boot for Bailey?
There was a point when Io was trying to cash in her Money in the Bank, but she didn't get there in time, or somebody stopped her, or
so this was the funniest thing to me. Like, I watched it and I laughed and I rewinded it and I watched it again. So basically they were trying to like cash in and mess with the match, and they thought they had their chance. Charlotte ran up and basically aimed for the big boot at Bailey. Bianca ducked it or came around the corner at the last minute. And she was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She was like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
But while they were distracted, literally chaos continued to ensue. Yes. My main takeaways were, first of all, Charlotte did not have to spear Bianca Belair in that manner.
So yes. So I think Asuka hit Charlotte with something at some point or something. Somebody hit Charlotte, and then damage control comes back. Out. Bailey is like talking back to Bianca. She turns around. You think Charlotte is gonna hit Bailey with the spear, I want to say. And
no, it was Io. Io moved.
Yes. Io moved and accidentally hits Bianca, and it spears Bianca. And when Charlotte spears Bianca, that of course means that the
match is over,
is disqualified. So you're right. Asuka was out on the table the whole time because Bianca hit her.
Done.
Put her on the announce table. It was a lot, guys. The shenanigans were so fun. You definitely got to go back and watch the clips.
Miss Bianca Belair must have did night classes at the YMCA, because that back bend roll, that sell. Like, what is that, Miss
It was so
Ma'am?
good. It was so good. And so Bianca's on the ground, Charlotte's on the ground, Asuka's on the ground, Damage Control are like, oh, it's time. Let's do I love this, but I also hate this. Like this moment in between where they're like, give it the briefcase. I'm like, don't. I was literally yelling
Should
at
I do
I
it?
was like,
Should I do it?
No, it's taking way too long. No.
I don't trust any friend that's encouraging me to cash in. Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Yes, exactly. And they have to get Asuka for where she's at. They put her in the ring. Like Damage Control they're clearly planning this, right? Because they've done this the second time they've done it. It's like, I want to roll Asuka in. Like Io's like, Bailey, here's the money in the bank. You get the money in the bank. I'm gonna roll Asuka in. I want to hit my move. Like they want to time it so that like Io hits the move, Bailey cashes in, and then she can go directly into the pin. But that's not working. Each time Bailey is like, I think it's so funny that Bailey is kind of the one that's failing in the cash-ins. So it's not Io failing the cash-ins, it's Bailey. And so as Io's about to hit the moonsault, Asuka scrambles, gets up, hits Bailey in the face with the blue mist. So hilarious.
Quick.
To physically stop the cash in. She then rolls out of the ring with the title with the maniacal laugh. This is the perfect use of every single talent that they have. This is making Damage Control look so like wily and ready to pounce. This is making Charlotte and Bianca kind of look like short-sighted, like they're so focused on the titles and stuff that they're not seeing like everything else around, but in a good way. And then it's making Asuka look like the wily champion that is just like trying to, she's like
the Seth Rollins. The Seth Rollins. Yes.
Yeah, she's using her wits to get out of these situations. Sarah, what did you think about this?
I didn't know where to look. I had to watch it twice. I was like, whoa, this and that and the other. And I think if you're there, how thrilling must it be to be doing that yourself, whipping your head around. The blue mist, which I'd heard about in one of the beefs earlier in the playlist, I got to see the blue mist, and I thought, oh, it really is blue. It was great. But Charlotte taking out Bianca was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And it was so comedy. Good. They're not playing the comedy, but the comedy's there in the actions. Yeah. It was so good because all Io did was duck. Or was it Bailey? All they did was duck. And she just flew over the top.
Yeah. She might have even like scooted to the right. Like she literally just moved an inch.
Just a little sidestep and all the plans, everybody's plans fell apart. Everybody's plans fell apart. So Charlotte made Bianca lose.
Also
Bianca didn't beat Io. I'm sorry,
Asuka.
I'm getting all mixed up there. Thank you, Asuka. Io couldn't cash in her money in the bank because everybody's getting in everybody else's way. But the precision of all of that is just incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, it felt like it made everybody safe too. Like it felt like nobody came out of that situation looking stupid or anything like that. It all made logical sense. And if they're smart, which you can't tell me that this is not what they're booking next week. Next week we're getting Charlotte and Bianca versus Bailey and Io in a tag team match. Like that's what we're getting. We have to get that. SummerSlam, it's still about 2 weeks away.
Jeez, it'll be fall.
It's like the 1st of September. It's like August 5th is summertime. So it's still like 2 weeks away.
Okay.
But it's like that's what they should do. It's like we have to take out those other people in order for us to get the match. And then I still don't know if that's gonna come to a conclusion. So I think that we might get like 3 matches where it's DQs in a row. So Adam Pearce is going to have to say something. So I'm really wondering if at SummerSlam we are going to get either a fatal 4-way or a fatal 5-way for the title. And again, if we are betting money that Io is not going to be able to successfully cash in her briefcase because, like I said on the previous episodes, they've been harping too much on how with the women's briefcase, it's 100%.
Yeah.
It's 100% rate of you getting the briefcase and you getting the championship. The best way to make people forget that somebody failed a cash in is when they use the cash in on a announced match. So this happened with Braun Strowman a few years ago. He won Mr. Money in the Bank and he challenged Brock Lesnar. I want to say it was Roman and Brock Lesnar. Doesn't matter. He challenged somebody to a match at like Night of Champions or SummerSlam using
How
his
goofy.
briefcase. Yeah,
How goofy.
like a lot. The smart way to do it is to wait till the champion is down and then cash in. But another way you can do is you can just set up a match, and normally that's what like good guys do. And so if you lose that match, you kind of forget that they failed their cash in. It's almost like it just reverts to another match lost. So if Io decides, so say Adam Pearce says, I want it to be a fatal three-way between Charlotte, Bianca, and Asuka, and then Io says, well, I want to use my Money in the Bank. Like she says, I'm sick and tired of missing my opportunities, or blames Bailey for missing her opportunities. And she says, I just want to guarantee that I have a shot at this title. I feel like I could beat all of them. I want in on that match at SummerSlam. So if they make it a fatal four-way at SummerSlam, fatal four-ways. One of my friends told me, Havan, he said triple threats normally mean the champion can retain. Fatal four-ways often means there's a higher chance that the champion could lose. However, I think a fatal four-way would be a perfect way for Asuka to continue her reign if they want her to continue her reign, and get rid of the Money in the Bank in a way that makes sense and without it looking like a failure on Io, and to deliver, honestly, a great match. A fatal four-way with Asuka and Io and Charlotte and Bianca would be ridiculous. And if for some reason they decide to make it a fatal five-way, that is going to be a poppin' match. And
Can I make it one better?
Okay.
Ooh.
She's going to use her briefcase to make it a five-way, and Bailey's going to be the reason she loses the match.
I mean, I agree with that. I think if Bailey's in the match, it'll be the reason why Io loses, and then they can spin off to an Io Bailey feud or something to that effect. I don't know.
And that leads to the return of Dakota Kai.
Well, she's out.
Oh, she out? Never mind. She gone.
She got injured. That's why she hasn't been there.
Is she down bad like that?
She tore her ACL. So
oh, never mind.
And it's at least her. You know what? Let me not. But I'm pretty sure I know she's torn her ACL before. I think she's torn both of them before. So this might be her third. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She needs time.
Yeah. So. Either way, I think this is leading to some really, really good things. And that's all speculation. We'll get some more. We'll know more about it later. But other than that, this was like probably my highlight of the week. Like the women delivered. It was so good. So good.
I didn't even know the show was over.
The clarity of the storytelling. That was it as well. Like, apart from the fact that they all did it really well, just the mapping out of the storytelling was just so, it's wonderful.
Yeah. All right. So, after talking about that very, very riveting women's division, we got to move back over to the women's tag team division over on Raw. Yeah, I guess. That sounds so rude. It sounds so rude. I'm not trying to be rude, but like I'm glad that Liv and Raquel are the champions. Like, good for them, because they're gonna be like, they're gonna be like hardworking champions. Like they're there to go.
Show up to the events.
Exactly. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green are their number one contenders right now, and they needed a little bit of they need a little bit of shine. They needed, what do they call it, like a momentum going into it. So they had a match against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. very short match in comparison to the match that they just had like the previous week against them, which is fine. I mean, the biggest thing about this whole section to me was Rhea Ripley coming up to Raquel Rodriguez and threatening her and Liv Morgan for staying out of her business because last week Rhea was beating up on Natty, I believe it was, and Raquel and Liv came out to save Natty.
Right.
So this was interesting. Let me get your thoughts on this first before I say what I'm thinking is going on here. Sarah, what are your thoughts on Rhea coming up and basically threatening Raquel Rodriguez?
Well, because they called it the B word, and I didn't like that, but also maybe she was being a B.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bitch.
They just do that.
Word.
They just do that for emphasis.
I have to say this section, and then also the threatening, and then going into the Chelsea Green Sonya Deville versus, it was a little dull. It was a little by the numbers. It's not that these women aren't really good at what they do, but it felt both that little acted section and then the match was like 1, 2, now I held you, now you lift up, now we go over here, now we get ready, now we do it. It felt both in the confrontation and in the match that there was a sort of stepping through. And I think particularly, poor things, particularly after the amazing match we saw in our timeline of watching, the playlist that we just saw immediately before. So I all respect to these women, but no, it's a no from me.
Yeah, the funniest thing about that exchange to me was Rhea coming up to Raquel and being like, dang, they don't even have pictures. Sorry, I'm like in the middle of a thought, but they don't even have pictures for the Chelsea Green Sonya Deville match on Raw's official website. But the funniest thing to me is Rhea's like, that was strike 1 and strike 2, and she said, and then Chelsea comes out of nowhere into frame. Chelsea is so good with frame.
She's like, so funny.
She's so funny. She said, strike 3, basketball. That took me out. I have really been enjoying Chelsea Green lately, and Rhea looking at Chelsea and Sonya, and they're like, "No, we're leaving. We got some place to be." I thought that was really funny, really good.
I appreciate that she gets her little moments to shine in that manner.
She does,
and she also has some moves. Like, do you see that jumping unprettier? Like, what?
Okay, that jumping unprettier is really good as well. So I'm just waiting for it. Like so with Rhea approaching Raquel, right? And what Taurean said about what we heard, possibly Rhea was talking about
allegedly.
Earlier.
Let me say that.
It's fine. Yeah. That makes more sense to me now because Raquel and Rhea, they have history. They have history going back to NXT. I'm not going to say it, but I said I wanted to say that Raquel took Rhea's championship off of her.
You want to say?
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I think
I'm pretty sure it was Shayna. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure it was Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, and then Raquel. I feel like Io.
This was before my time.
Yeah, Io took it off of Raquel. Io took it off of Rhea, and then Raquel took it off of Io. That's what it was. So, anyways, yeah, so they do have history from NXT. They were one of the 3 pillars of NXT, if you want to use that jargon. The next women superstars, it was Bianca, Rhea, and Raquel were seen as the next 3 women up about 2 to 3 years ago before they made the jump to the main roster. So they know each other. They're good friends. So I could see that being Rhea's next step too, as well. But to me, that means does that mean that Raquel and Liv drop the belts sometime soon to Chelsea Green or Sonya Deville.
Eventually, yes, I think.
Right. Eventually, yes. Maybe not right now, because that just feels like too soon. Like that means like we are hot potatoing the tag titles, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with titles switching hands, but I don't want it to feel like it's undervalued when it's switching hands. I'm still trying to figure out where Ela Dawn and Alba Fire are. Like, they lost their championships and we haven't
They'll
seen
be back. They'll be. I'm talking like I know. My ear is not to the
Yeah.
ground at all. But I just think they'll have too many heel champions, so it won't be anytime soon.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. That's a great point. But it's just a lot going on here, and yeah, it's.
Can I ask your opinion on something very quickly?
Mhm.
I have feelings, but I need to hear someone else talk about it. So Bianca, Rhea, Raquel. Let's just talk about all three of them real quick. They are considered the power women of the roster, right?
Yeah, they're considered like the next generation. So the first
But
generation was.
But they're the stronger, like bigger framed women, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the base. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen Rhea do it. She's proven herself. But Raquel and Bianca both try to do this elevated chicken wing glam slam type of thing, but it's almost as if their strength is so strong until they have to do that one move.
Don't you lump Bianca in that.
I love Binky, but she literally picks people up and drops them sometimes, even last night.
Well,
like,
see, and that's what I mean, like kind of the her and Asuka finesse, because she, like, Bianca does that move, like she does it to Sasha, she does it to Bailey, she does it to Becky really smoothly. That was one of the moves that I was like, that was not as smooth between her and Asuka. But do not lump Bianca with Raquel, because Raquel, to me, Raquel is all fake muscles. No offense, everybody knows.
Like SpongeBob invisible muscles.
Exactly. They keep trying to make her do these big strongman spots that she keeps failing. I'm like, Bianca and Rhea are actually strong. Bianca holds like most of the records in NXT for lifting.
She picked up Otis.
Exactly. Like, it's so funny because I think Bianca truly is the strongest of the three of them, but Raquel is the tallest of the three of them.
Yep.
So she looks like she's stronger, but we saw in the Money in the Bank ladder match last year that she just Raquel is like 6 feet, Rhea is like 5'10", and then Bianca is 5'7".
I think it's mostly legs, because I like her like twisting corkscrew elbow thing, but it's almost like they're still trying to get down the perfect distance that she needs to run or that they need to lay, because I don't know, it just looks clunky sometimes. But I digress. It
could be because, again, the tallness, like Raquel looking as well, with Rhea looking as like perfectly tall as she is, maybe that it looks smoother. Anyways, yes, those are the three strong women. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not like jumping down your throat. Raquel really, it just annoys me how like big she is and how like they talk about her back and all these lifts, and she can't lift. You know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
We are not here. Like Sarah said, all of the respect to all of these women.
Respect to all of these women.
Yes, like the storyline isn't as strong, but I'm invested. I'm waiting to see where it goes.
I won't turn the channel yet.
Yeah, but again, like I am like a tad bit shocked that they didn't have any like online. There's no pictures from the match, from the backstage segment.
I don't know what they're wanting. Like, I like the pairing of Sonya Deville and Chelsea. I don't know how you feel, Sarah, but it's like they're throwing them out there and they say, all right, we need you to do a little something. We'll give you a little something. You can, keep doing these events, keep making these appearances. But I'm like, catering might be a little bit more fun. I mean, if you're not going to invest anything in
it's a nice pairing, but they were very rude to that woman backstage. Very rude. Yeah. Unnecessarily rude. I mean, it was funny, but it was unnecessary. Don't call her Jackie. I don't know.
Yeah, it is funny. It's a funny shtick. Yeah,
I'm crying.
Yeah. They're taking chicken shit and making it into chicken salad.
If I was their acting coach, I would say call her the wrong name, but not as if you are deliberately doing it. Call her the wrong name as if you think it's actually her name. See, that to me is classier and funnier. But perhaps that's a nuance that's
Gotcha.
might be
Lost.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
They don't have good directors like you. They need you to be
I don't have good
directing these
directors.
back
I
What
need
does it
to- I
take to
need
get in the
fill
writings
in.
room? What does it take to get in the writing room? Oh, over there. Or is
Well,
that part of the strike?
Well,
No, they're not on strike. from what I
Okay.
understand. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're
I'm in
ununionized. Everything in wrestling
I'm
is
in
ununionized.
Australia, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, they might be on the opposite of strike because the writing has gotten better.
All
But
right.
I
So,
mean, I'm with you, Taurean. It's I like them. I like them as a pair. Where it's spongy is I don't know what is their relationship to each other. It's not clear. What do they
It's
want?
not.
Isn't clear.
yeah.
A
Who are they
mutual
against? Isn't
dislike.
clear.
And
Of
she's
authority.
leaning out of the Karen stuff as much.
Yeah.
Like she's annoying, but she's not as outwardly Karenish.
Yeah, it's they're pairing Sarah. It's like we call them the complaint department. They literally got paired up because they annoyed Adam Pierce the most. They kept complaining
Excellent.
to Adam Pierce. Yeah, so it is really
They
good.
should lean
so.
into that then. They should lean into it. More
Yeah,
Karen. Come on.
more Karen. Exactly. They were very more Karen until they got into until they became the serious contenders. So now they got to kind of present them not seriously, but like serious threats. So it's pretty funny.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I was still like crying from when she was like, they were very rude.
All right, we
Well,
gotta
it's just
move
it's
on.
unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So I have 3 words. Thank you, Trish. The Trish we haven't really been delving
I
too
want that
deep into the
t-shirt.
Trish stuff. I mean, it's great. It truly is great. Last week, Becky challenged Trish to a match after Money in the Bank, and and Trish's face was broken. She just said my face is broken, and it's like and then
The very
and then
famous
she
injury, broken face.
broken face, exactly. And then she said, I have a doctor's appointment, and they pointed out on commentary. I
Right
don't know who has a doctor's appointment at 9:30 at night. That was so funny. And so they're going back and forth. I mean, that's the first promo that I sent you guys was just really good. Becky in the
It
ring
was
calling
so
out Trish.
good. It
So
was
good.
so good.
Mhm.
Oh, it
Sarah?
was wonderful. And all her stuff about with this mask on, I'm more beautiful than all of you ugly people, and you should all put masks on. And they're all booing. And I thought it was fantastic. And the fact that the injury was broken face just made it absolutely perfect, because then we can enjoy it. Like if she was, I mean, it's all real, right?
Right.
If she was really injured, we couldn't enjoy it as much.
Not at all.
And the fact that the 9:30 medical appointment and then the commentators pointing out how ridiculous it was, just like everybody playing their part. I loved it.
Corey does really good on the spot, like jokes. Not all of them land, but he does really good on the spot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this was also a perfect promo from Becky as well, in a sense of like calling out Trish and Zoe, but also like doing a really good job of kind of like putting Zoe over in a sense. Like, what is Zoe gonna do after you leave, Trish? Are you gonna give her a job at your salon? Like, she was also like putting over Trish's businesses too. I was like, oh,
right.
I was like writing down all this stuff. I was like, okay, I go to yoga.
Okay, yoga studio. Okay.
It was really funny. The back and forth is so good. Like Trish and Becky are some of the best people to ever do it on a mic.
The band.
And
yes,
the bands are great. And this is what you want from a returning legend. A returning legend comes in, she puts the spotlight on herself, but also on the people that she's working with. And she's not wrong when she's saying that Zoe Stark is getting some really, really good hands-on training right now. She's getting a really good rub, because Zoe Stark in NXT, her biggest thing is like, we'll talk about this now, but she can go in the ring. Her ring work is not the problem. It's her charisma, her talking level, stuff like that. So she's learning from Trish how to do these things, and Trish is also being a mouthpiece for her, making her interesting. This is a perfect pairing, even though like I'm not the biggest fan of Zoe Stark for outside reasons. Like, I think this is a great this is like a great pairing here. I'll tell you later.
What are the reasons? Tell us the reasons. Still,
I'll tell you later. The red hat reasons. I'll tell you later.
Gotcha.
So like,
yep, gotcha.
So like, I do like this pairing a lot. And so then, which is this week, which is, that was from 2 weeks ago. This week we get the match between Becky and Zoe, and this is the moment that Zoe shines. Becky, of course, is just a professional, and her and Zoe had great chemistry. I love how the commentators were bigging up Zoe. Like, Zoe is explosive. Like, Becky has the advantage of her with experience and ground, but Zoe is this. Like, they were doing a great job of putting both of them over. It was great. Trish on the outside helping out to get one over on Becky. This was good. This is the type of storyline that we beg for women to get, because very often we do not get women's storylines outside of the title. And this is a perfect women's storyline outside of the title. The sad thing is the title's not getting a storyline, so it's almost like they can only ever make one storyline for the women.
Right.
But this is still a really good storyline that doesn't involve the title. Yeah. Taurean, any final words on the championship? Yeah.
I just have one major question to pose.
Loads of match. Yes.
When is the last time that you saw Becky Lynch have a one-on-one match on live TV with someone, interference or not, where you weren't sure who was going to win and they weren't a member of Damage Control?
Right. Yeah. Or Bianca Belair. Like,
basically,
it's really good. Yeah. It's putting Zoe up there. Like, this is truly putting Zoe up there. So yeah, good for her. Good for them for making new stars. Like, you cannot be mad at that aspect.
My only question is, I think I was introduced to Zoe Stark when she returned from injury to NXT. What happened to her knee? I know she wears the knee brace.
She when she was partnering with EO like a few years ago, it's been like time, I don't know, but she blew out her knee. I think it was an ACL injury. She was out of major competition for at least 9 months or something like that.
Did you notice that Solo?
It looks like
sorry.
It looks to me like a preventative brace rather than current injury.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say Solo doesn't even wear his as much anymore.
Yeah. So it's like, as somebody with current knee problems,
same.
It's I'm pretty sure it's mostly preventative, and to be quite honest, it doesn't seem like she's lost a step, because there have been wrestlers who have had ACL injuries. They come back and you can tell they move a tad bit slower, but she has done an amazing job of coming back from that injury.
I'm just worried about that.
It's been a minute.
That Z360 to the face with a knee brace. That's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So
such a great costume moment too. Sorry, I know it's but the costumes are so much part of it. Her costume is so wonderful. Look at it there.
Oh, they've been really investing time on her, and I appreciate that.
So good. Yeah. I thought that Trish was going to get in on the fight. Maybe she is actually really injured. I don't know.
She said, y'all didn't pay me that much.
Yeah, she did just enough.
Did we ever locate Lita or no?
No, Lita got kayfabe injured off screen. Like they injured her on
and they never brought it
to say
back
that
up.
they never brought it back up to say like she's out. Like they're like, we
Gotcha.
took her out. Yeah. Yeah.
The only person to ever get taken all the way out.
All the way out. I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up like at like SummerSlam. If we get Trish versus Becky at SummerSlam and Zoe's on the outside, I could definitely see Lita coming out to even the odds, because they've been doing a good job of like Trish and Zoe getting the upper hand on Becky, like beating Becky. So I can definitely see that happen.
Okay. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right. And let's see what else we got going on here. Okay, so now we're gonna get into like some like the quicker storylines. I would definitely say. Ricochet and Logan Paul, they go toe to toe on the mic. Let me ask Taurean her thoughts on this. Like, I want to get y'all thoughts first on all of these. I'm going to ask you guys first, and then I'll elaborate after. So I'll go back and forth. Taurean, let me get your initial thoughts on Ricochet and Logan Paul.
I am interested to see the match that we're going to get inevitably, but I'm not excited about the things that lead up to the match. Like, I saw the timeline on Twitter talking before I actually heard Ricochet talk. So they made me think that he did horrible. It was not horrible, but it was not good.
Yeah.
It was not great. But when you pigeonhole someone to being the highlight of the night and they rarely get to get on the mic, those are the type of Dominic Mysterio kinks you got to work out first. So.
Exactly. Great point.
But Logan Paul can go. I mean, he's annoying. I'm glad he's leaning into being annoying instead of trying to be like a fake face or whatever.
Yep.
It does. But that's all I feel about it. What about you, Sarah?
Not a fan of Logan Paul, although it went up marginally, went up by a bee's dick on this. So he came to the party. I thought it was a little boring. They kept saying unprofessional. You're unprofessional. Well, if I was unprofessional, what are you? I know that no one's ever said I was unprofessional. Are you unprofessional? Am I unprofessional? Stop it, please. Please stop it. The thing that was fantastic was Ricochet said, looking at your stupid face, all I want to do is hurt you. And I was like, hard same, Ricochet, hard same. But for
that
me,
was like the nicest way.
Yeah, it went on too long.
Yeah.
It should have been, so come on, snap up, boys, snap up.
And the sad part is, I've actually watched his like little YouTube show before. It's not horrible. It's not like I could watch it all day, but a lot of people watch it. So if you're calling somebody from the company you work with unprofessional, whether it's in character or not, Ricochet has the motivation to want to go off on him in that manner. Mm-hmm. But as you say, like, hurry it up. Like, are you going to hit him or not?
Yes. I mean, and Logan Paul was great because he trashed the town they were in, and I thought, great, yes, do that. That's fun, you know. Buffalo. And then they can all go boo. That was great.
Yeah, so this
and I think Logan Paul probably is faster and is better at the improvisation than Ricochet, despite having the better line, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so few things here. Again, this is when they were in Buffalo. I want to say it was like mid show, something like that. Buffalo they did not care, and that can sap the energy out of it.
Yeah.
Ricochet, they barely give Ricochet the mic. So it's like you can't expect him to be great on the mic if he barely gets a chance on the mic. You send him out there to wrestle and
to flip,
and that's it. And
it was a fantastic flip when he finally did it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Thank you.
And so and that's the thing, right? Because this is a callback to a feud he had with
don't say it.
Redacted superstar, and back in NXT. And in NXT, he got the mic more. In NXT, he sounded better. When he was going up against this superstar, he sounded better. When he did the flip the first time against the superstar, it was better because the camera angle was better.
And it was the first time.
It was the first time. There was this weird tension. Am I there, Taurean? You remember what I'm talking about? It was great. It was great. It was one of my favorite moments. I'm very sad that I cannot reference any of that man's work anymore.
You're doing very well. So I think that then Logan Paul had a great line, which is, "You're just clips, you're just tricks, you're things that we've seen before. It's a TikTok, it's not a match." So
he said, "I don't do TikTok."
Yeah. So it's not like, it's I know you are, but what am I? Come on, we need a higher level. He was more defending himself. Ricochet, I'm talking about now. And I'm not unprofessional. It's like, attack Logan Paul. There's plenty of stuff to say about him, including his stupid face. So he just didn't have enough material. Someone needed to give him 3 things to attack. That he's the pudgiest strong man you've ever seen, or that he's blinding white, or that he is not a real wrestler. He does
problematic things on the internet. Yeah. My thought process, I'm wondering if, and that's a great point, Sarah, because like you never want your heel to be able to go in on your babyface and not the babyface not be able to respond. We just saw it in the Trish versus Becky of it all. Trish going in on Becky and then Becky responding in kind. The problem here is probably Logan Paul probably has some things that people cannot say about him. You know what I'm saying? And Logan Paul could probably improvise, because what's going to happen? They're not going to reprimand him for improvising more than anything. They probably give Ricochet, "Oh, you got to say these lines," and then they let Logan Paul go, and then Ricochet got to just be like, "I got to say these lines. I can't really say that stuff." So I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of has one hand tied behind his back in a sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it not only wasn't good, it just went on for such a long time. I get thinking
it did.
Is he supposed to have other things and he can't remember what they are? I thought that's unlikely.
Could have been that too. I mean,
well, it could have. It's unlikely. I think he just didn't have. They either let him get out there without any material, or he didn't.
But even on top of that, Logan Paul was like, even when they're booing for me, they're not cheering for you. Like there's was too. Yep.
Great stuff.
Too much. But that's too much. Yeah, that's the problem, Sarah. That's too much. Like, your heel can be heelish, but they're supposed to also, in a way, still lift you up as a face. Again, exactly how Trish did it. That did not happen. Logan literally buried Ricochet on the mic, and I use that.
So then it's an ego. It's an ego thing then, that Logan won't share an uplift, that he takes the heel position as if it's real and that you must squash your
or
opponent.
Maybe he doesn't know that that's something he has to also keep in mind as a worker.
Yes, as a worker, exactly. It's probably 90% of like, he's used to crowds and stuff and responding and being more improvisational, that he doesn't know the guidelines of that. I agree. I think he's just, because that wasn't we know that wasn't a line, because he could not have predicted that the crowd would be booing him and not cheering Ricochet. So we know, we can exactly pinpoint that is an improvisational line,
and it's a fantastic put down. But it's
great.
Wrong.
But Ricochet, it's wrong, and Ricochet had nothing to say against it. Ricochet had nothing to say against it.
Did the camera pan straight back to Ricochet after he said that?
I want to say, I think it did, but I can't remember.
My face would have dropped. I'd have been like, "Oh, bro, wait till we get to Gorilla."
It's hard. It's but so many times you can say like, you're not even a real professional wrestler, when it's like, this happens all the time. We always have celebrities who are not wrestlers come and wrestle, and then on top of that, we have to begrudgingly admit that Logan Paul is good at it. So it's not like he can be like, you're not good at it, because he's good at it. So I mean, we know it's going to keep going. I hope if it does go a little bit more, maybe they can let Ricochet get some more jabs in there, maybe beforehand go over like, okay, can I say this, can I say this, can I say this, okay, like stuff like that. But I truly love Ricochet as a talent, and the things that man can do is just like, they're supernatural. Yeah. And again, that crowd didn't help. I'm like, dog, this man just like flipped out of the ring, landed on his knee. My knee would have buckled. Like
literally flipped inside out. They used that for him.
For that, man. They like, come on, y'all. Like,
Y'all don't deserve
wish
him.
he had. Exactly. I wish he had did that in Baltimore because Baltimore was so much better. But yeah, so I'm actually very excited in this match. I can't wait to see what they come up with as performers. And I want to give them more time. I want more backstage segments. I want more talking segments between the two of them. I would love for Ricochet to go on Logan's show.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That would
or
be cool
crash.
or crash it. Yes, exactly. Like they could really build this up if they want to. So I hope they choose that path.
I feel like he has some type of, at the moment, like I'm not gonna say like that's part of his contract, but maybe they have a little understanding, like, okay, like because Edge has been on there, Triple H has been on there, Shawn Michaels has been on there, Roman Reigns has been on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you either of you have a feeling as to how long Logan Paul's going to keep this up? Is this like is it a sort of diversion for him? Is it a career change? Like
he has a 5-year contract, I believe. It's
really? Does he?
Yeah.
He has a 5-year contract. He gets paid a certain amount of money a year.
Getting in there with him.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it because they get exposure.
It's
like this is
exposure you want. And he's not working an actual 5-year contract. Like he's still Logan Paul. He just has a contract for 5 years with WWE. It's about making money.
And it's been like what?
2? 3?
But that means it's worth them coaching him and saying, you know, it's a give and take, and your role has a few more strictures than just because you've got to be Logan Paul, which is already a character, but you've got to be the wrestling character as well.
But it does sound like it sounds like he's devoted to it though. Like he's committed. Like he sounds like he's willing to train. He just needs to work on not putting down his partner in the ring and also taking care of his body.
Yeah.
Not to be petty.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so next up, I really want to hear Sarah's initial thoughts on this. We have the Alpha Academy. They celebrate Maxine's graduation. Tell us about Alpha Academy.
I will. Can I just briefly say the Viking Raiders need to get a costume designer, please?
Please.
Okay. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Just
themselves.
Elevate.
Yeah.
Accentuate.
Get a seamstress. It doesn't even have to be. I mean, it actually has to be a designer that can, that designs for dancers and wrestlers and that. They can keep that idea, but it looks so crafty, as they say on Drag Race. It looks so crafty, and it doesn't. It doesn't look like what they think it looks like. It looks like the Flintstones, and it could look amazing. There's a TV series called Norseman, which has amazing costumes in that style, but so brilliantly made. I just think it sort of, they look like buffoons, but maybe they want to be buffoons. I don't know. I liked this. Great big large men smacking into each other is such a cliche of wrestling, but when you get to it, you sort of go, oh yeah, that's right. Great big men smacking into each other is sort of fun. I loved the introduction of Maxine. She won her very first match. Who would have thought that would happen? Amazing. And then the graduation with the pink gown and the stealing of the thing. The whole thing to me, I was like that cartoon of a person with the hearts coming out of their eyes as I watched this, because it wasn't a story that I knew. I'd never seen that sort of academy thing. I hadn't seen a graduation thing. I loved the flirtatiousness, the sort of the light sexuality of it. When I saw that ass, I had to join the academy. My only and the wrestlers of the Viking Raiders were very good. I feel like the costumes just let it down.
Yeah.
They would be in a lip sync if it was me.
Yeah, the Viking Raiders are like actual, like in real life. The Valkyrie, her name's Sarah. She's married to one of them. I can never remember. I want to say it's Ivar, but I
the bald one.
Yes, she's married to them, and they do Viking cosplay. Like
Yes.
their wedding was
Viking themed.
yes.
But it doesn't really look like
Yeah.
Viking. It
The
looks
only
like
thing that's going to make
caveman.
me care about them is if she brings her baby to the ring in some type of loincloth-esque wrap around her body. Like
That would be
Yes.
kind of cool. I'm not gonna-
Bring it.
like that's the only thing that would have made me care about her. But my bad. You had the
But
talking
baby
stick.
headphones don't go with like the Viking,
Oh, you just put fur on them. Just make the little
Some fur,
muff.
a muff.
Oh my
a
god.
head muff.
And
But
a
I
little
thought she
sling.
was.
Oh my
I thought
god. So
because
cute.
these are my people. I come from Vikings, so
Mhm.
it better not be cultural appropriation. Is what I'm saying. No, it's fine. Anyway, but I noticed that she's actually very good. That Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Sure.
Yeah, it's Valhalla. I call her Valkyrie. Valhalla.
Sarah Logan.
Jesus.
Sarah Logan.
It is. It's Sarah Logan. That's her real name.
Valhalla
well,
is
Sarah Rose,
the top of the mountain where all the gods live. Valkyrie is a person. Anyway, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's her name.
It's Valhalla. I accidentally said Valkyrie because another one.
Valkyria. You're thinking of Valkyria.
Oof, great name.
Valkyrie.
But when she snuck up and stole the jacket and everything, I thought that was all very nimble. She's very nimble. That woman, very nimble.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about
Taurean,
you,
your thoughts on
Taurean?
the Alpha Academy?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I love this. I love this pairing. I love the addition. I love the addition of another stable. My heart is with Mace and Mansoor. I don't know where they're at. Hopefully
I'll
they're
talk about that in a second. Yes.
Okay. Hope they're killing it on the live tapings at the shows. But Maxine brings a level of just cuteness to this that if I didn't like Alpha Academy already, I like them now. Like, do you even hear they made like a little small tweak to their entrance music? It's like a little bing bing, a little bicycle, like little ring. I don't know if that's for her or if they just fixed their song. But either way, I love it. It's cute. The graduation was cute. I wanted to ask you too, how do you feel about when they run similar storylines in NXT as they do to the main roster?
I don't mind. I know this is Chase U.
Yeah.
I think it just means that hopefully it's already primed to like we get Chase U versus Alpha Academy. That would be great.
They're either going to be rival schools or they're going to join together when they get called up in a year. But that's my conspiracy theory. But yeah, this is cute. I love it. Anything that gets to put Chad Gable on my screen, I am a fan of.
It was just that beautiful, that fine line of comedy where, and this is why I sort of don't want to keep harping on about the costumes. The costumes were buffoonery. This was, from all of them, the performance from all 6 of them was right on that comedy line. I just think it's so brilliant. It's really refreshing. I'm sure other people are doing it, but in my experience, this is my first experience of this really nice, really fine line of it. When the worm, of course, was wonderful. And then when she did the worm and then got smacked in the head, it was like perfect because she's sort of Barbie does wrestling, and so she gets on and then she does the worm, and Valhalla smacks her in the head and stops her short. Very funny, comic timing, very good. The physical comedy of all 6 of them, and it's rare, I would think, within those kind of teams of 2 or teams of 3 that you get a similar level of everybody. Being on the same level of that physical comedy while also the physicality of the actual wrestling and the athleticism of the wrestling.
Greatly put.
I was thrilled.
Yeah.
As you can tell.
Yeah.
If I can add before you move on, I hope we'll get Michelle McCool vibes from her at some point, like the teacher thing with the blonde, and she can kind of wrestle. Like her legs are long. Like if they teach her how to do a good big boot, I would believe it. with the heels, I'd believe it. But on top of that, I feel like WWE is kind of being a little risque lately. Like literally when Otis took his little gown off, obviously he's in his, chubby Speedo. So they were teasing as if Maxine might be dressed a little seductively under there. The bodysuit was A1. But they like WWE's been teasing it. Like even her little worm, like she was gyrating
Yeah,
her
yeah,
midsection.
yeah, because Maxine Dupree was the head of Maximum Male Models, but she fell in love with Otis and joined the Alpha
Oh, they're in
Academy,
love. They're in
basically.
love.
Well, they're in lust because
Oh,
Otis
God.
pulls the women. Like Otis pulls the blonde bombshells, you know, him and
He
Mandy
does. He
Rose,
does.
and yeah, he pulls it. He has that thing. And so the rumors are that Mason Mansour or Masse and Mansour
Marseille.
are being repackaged. I actually hope not. I really hope that after the Viking Raiders and Alpha Academy deal with this, I would love for Masse and Mansour to come back and want beg her to come back to them. Like I want she's like firmly established in Alpha Academy. I want them to beg like Maxine, come back to me, come back to us.
Great
And
story.
like
They were so cute
exactly.
with their YouTube shows. They were
Yep.
cute. Wait,
And so
repackages what?
I don't know. That's what they're saying. It's like it's rumors. We don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. But my
The
thought process
streets.
is back in the attitude eras with like managers and valets, like there used to be like it makes me think of Sunny. Like they used to have matches in order to win the valet or the manager. I've talked about this before. I am a sucker for a very good manager. I think she's a good manager slash valet slash wrestler. People don't like the word valet or manager because normally it meant like just a woman who escorts people, escort men to the ring. But valets are also, they can be great wrestlers as well. And just because I say valet doesn't mean I'm not saying she should wrestle. I'm saying she is great. She's great working with them character wise and wrestling wise. And so if Masse and Mansour come back and they're like, we want you, Maxine, and she's like, can't decide, and they just have a match for her. I know, again, little weird, women as property type thing, like suspend your disbelief for just 2 seconds. It's like they normally do, they do contracts, not her physical body. It's like, okay, whoever wins her managerial contract. You know what I'm saying? Like do that. I would love that. They haven't done anything like that for like I feel like decades now at this point. I mean, Paul Heyman kind of did it with the whole Roman versus Brock thing, which was really fun. We all loved it when that happened a few years ago. So like do that with Maxine, and then you're giving to tag teams an opportunity to fight over something else that's not the title. And again, not women's bodies or anything like that, but still, like,
I mean, it's a manager, be it woman
yeah,
or man. I mean, the interesting thing about her too for me is, yes, she's blonde. There she was in her pink graduation gown, which was so great.
beautiful.
She's very pretty. I mean, she's got a lot of makeup on, but she is also funny. And it's a hard combination. Sorry to my pretty sisters and brothers. You're not that funny because you have never had to be. So when you get someone who, and obviously they're playing up her prettiness and she's playing up her prettiness, but she was also very funny. That moment where he told her to take her gown off, she had this physical reaction. It wasn't overdone, but I mean, as Taurean said, it's like, oh, has she got nothing on underneath? It was like this moment that she gave, and I thought, oh, you're good. Like you're good. You have that nice balance of the humor. So, and she played off
Exactly.
with them against both the men very well too. Yeah. She wasn't just a prop for them.
Exactly. So I'm loving this. Like again, if we might not be hitting everything every week because there's so many things that happens in the weird wacky world of wrestling. So that's why I love this week that we can kind of catch up on some of the goofier, smaller storylines. Speaking of which, let's move over to LA Knight, who he came out on SmackDown just to say he's gunning for the US Championship, which is fine with me because that man is over. OVER.
Over.
Taurean, what do we think about LA Knight coming out to address the crowd?
It's not lost upon me that other people got televised or pre-recorded segments and he got a hot mic.
Yeah.
That man could sell a desert front property to an Eskimo. He could lead a
Yes.
blind horse to water. He could
Yes.
convince a New Yorker to move to LA. He has it. All right.
Exactly.
But yeah, to be concise, he's basically everything they wanted Austin Theory to be, and he's very close to achieving.
Exactly.
He's very close to achieving what The Miz has already achieved. So if they're like, it's either going to be Grayson Waller or it's going to be like Austin Theory, which it's probably not, or it's going to be LA Knight. Like they have their talker for a little bit.
That's what I was thinking too.
Absolutely. I wrote in my notes, I don't like him, but he is very good with his rhythm and he can work the crowd. And I have to give him props for that. Like of all the let's say the talky bits that we saw in the playlist, to land on this, he's there solo, he's got no one to play off except the crowd. And you think, like, mwah, beautiful, beautiful. Doing enough performing, using the words very well. I'm sure he had them in his head, but it didn't seem practiced. And he's a fine figure of a man as well. I don't know why. I just don't like him.
He's charismatic. It's just a natural oozing. Get a load of this guy.
Yes.
And the crowd just loved it. And again, they understood their role to be with the call and response, to be his sparring partner, as it were, with the words. So, yeah, you've got to give it to him. You've got to.
Exactly. And it does say something about it. Like, it reminds me of like Bianca. It's like, if I go to the show that I know Bianca's supposed to be there, SmackDown, Raw, whatever brand she was assigned to, they didn't care. They make sure that there's some reason that she's out there. You know what I'm saying? Because if she's not out there and I pay my ticket, I'm gonna be pissed. And that's what it felt like for LA Knight. They're like, he has nothing to do with there was a US championship like a match that night that Santos Escobar won, and he's gonna be on the one next week. And they were like, but you got to go out there because
please
yeah.
tell them anything.
Exactly. And it was great.
Yes, literally.
I get it. Yeah, I get why people like him. It's so funny. He is one of those like polarizing figures. Yeah. And people not anyways, people either like him or they hate him. Either way, they're reacting to him, and that's
undeniable Riz.
I'm screaming, yeah.
I just who says it like that? Who says it like that? It's okay.
He has his ear to the ground. Like, how does he know they're about these LA Knight sightings? Is he in his mentions? Is he reading about this?
I love it. And then finally, something I did not expect to see. What does Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits have up their sleeve? So I'll start with this one. Okay. So the Street Profits are like, oh man, fam, he's supposed to be here. Like, I'm glad he's on time. It was so funny. I was like, okay, my boys, the Street Profits.
Who they waiting on?
Okay, who they waiting on? Bobby Lashley steps out, and I'm like, okay. It like, I don't know what they're up to, but I am in. I'm in. Sign me up. It did make me chuckle to myself a little bit because like back in the Hurt Business days, like we notoriously here on the Wrestling RHAPUp, we love the Hurt Business. And back in the Hurt Business days, people would be like, oh, you should add this person to the Hurt Business. You should add this person to the Hurt Business. And it was like the Street Profits and like all just random black people. And MVP went on Twitter and was like, dog, the reason why Hurt Business works is because it's organic. We're not just throwing in like random people into the Hurt Business. And I thought it was hilarious. And I ran over to MVP's Twitter just to see if he said anything about it. But if it is a Hurt Business 2.0 or something to that effect, and Bobby Lashley hooks up with the Street Profits, this would be monumental for both of them. The Street Profits are so good at what they do, but it feels like the WWE just does not know what to do with them. Like it feels like they've been on the verge of breaking up so many times. It feels like they're on the verge of like pushing Montez, but then Dawkins just is like, nah, you're not getting rid of me, fam. And it's like, it's just they're so good, and the talent is so good. It's so good there, but with the belts being, we talked about, I hate that they had the dual branded belts held by one
Together.
people. Yeah.
And they I'm sorry.
With those belts being together, like, they don't have anything to do. They're not booking the tag team division. They're having just as much trouble booking the men's tag team division as they are the women's. So I'm glad that it feels like it's going to give them something. And if those brothers and Bobby Lashley start walking around in suits, can Bianca fight? She can fight. She can fight.
Oh, she can fight. She's going to show up like not with the braid, like straight ponytail, like she will fight.
She can throw hands. I wouldn't even try her, but still, it's going to be good. I love it. I'm so excited. They did absolutely nothing but get into a car, but I'm totally invested. Sarah, what do you think?
What a car. Yes. Oh, I was so happy. I love the Street Profits from the moment I laid eyes on them, and then when Bobby Lashley, I only knew it was him because that was the title of the video. But I thought, I had that sort of instinctive reaction of, I love Bobby Lashley. I can't even tell you why I do, but somewhere in my lizard brain, it's like implanted this love of Bobby Lashley, and him opening the door for them getting in, him doing the little glance and getting in. It's like, ooh, something's coming.
Yeah. Exactly. Any final words, Taurean, on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits?
Just like you two, I'm excited. I don't know what it's leading to. I don't care about what they're teasing, hinting at. I'm here for it. I'm invested. Put me on the email list. Like, and then someone was like, "What if Bianca joins the Hurt Business 2.0 with them, and they are the next head-to-head competitors with the Judgment Day?"
Oh,
that would be
great, but they're on different brands right now.
Do you think they care? Do you think they care?
Yeah.
Like, not to be funny, but there was something a week ago, and they were like, "Look at them ignoring the brand split again."
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm very excited, and I almost got emotional because sometimes my DVR is working quicker than the Twitter. Sometimes the tweeters are quicker than my DVR. But as soon as someone said Bobby Lashley, I fast forwarded. I got up to speed, and tears were brought to my eyes. Like, I'm happy. I'm so happy. He's another talent that does not deserve to be wasted. He's still performing great at this point in his career. He was there debuting when I first got into wrestling, and I think it's amazing that he's in the shape that he is.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. So we'll keep everybody updated on all of those. That's it for the highlights of the week. Again, highlights of the week, they can be found in the show notes, show descriptions. Honestly, at this point, I'm just going to plug all of them in there. It won't be a handy playlist. It'll just be straight up the highlights. But thank you so much to Sarah and Taurean. She'll be back soon. Again, it's production. Matt's not here. Everything's cursed. It's fine. It's fine. Or Gilda Tintin Ventura, should I say? Any final thoughts on your overall thoughts on the week that I sent you of wrestling?
Well, I just have to say thank you very much for inviting me again. I want my 5-timers jacket, and no Valhalla's going to come and snatch it from me. I like that I can dot in and out. I don't have to watch every week, but I get my news somehow by osmosis, and on Twitter I seem to get news as well. And like last time, this time I was like, I know these people. So when Bobby Lashley got out of the car, it was like, yeah, I know him somehow. And I find that absolutely delightful, and I find it very satisfying to talk about something that I don't know anything about. Must be how. No, I won't say that. I generally, do so much research in the stuff that we talk about, Mari, and other things that I do and present. I feel like I have to have a knowledge and I have to have an experience. And what wrestling does that's so delightful is, and to anybody who's putting their toe into wrestling, you just start, and then it just takes you over, and the enjoyment is the most important thing. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for keeping me up to date with the goings on.
Of course.
Especially the women this week, I feel. Like, especially the women this week.
Yes, exactly. The women killed it. Taurean, how about you? Any final thoughts on the week at large here that we just recapped?
Nothing that we have not already gone over. I wouldn't want to keep y'all here too long. I could talk about this forever. But it was a great week. A great week indeed.
It truly was. So Taurean, we'll start with you. Tell the people where they can find you, where you want to be found.
I don't want to be found. You can find me on Twitter at Taylor's Karma. That is TaylorSkarmA.
Yeah.
I have. I don't know. It's okay for now. I'm waiting for Big Brother season to start. You might see me tweeting around about that. Yep. But I have just as many opinions about Big Brother, but I won't get into that here. I have a very defunct Instagram. It's called Talk Torn to Me. I have 0 followers. I'll just leave that there. But yeah, stay on the lookout. I do plan to start putting out different types of content, working on selling things.
No. She's been having technical difficulties. That was pretty good though.
It was good. We got through it. Yes.
Yeah. Sarah, how about you? Where can people find you?
The people can find me at Sarah Carradine on all social media. And please dip into our podcast. It's called Crime Scene. We talk about crime. Very interesting episode up at the moment on a documentary called Burden of Proof about a son's 25-year quest to get his parents to admit that they had killed his sister. So very interesting. And then Mary, you and I are going to talk about Last Call next week.
Yes, we are. Yes, we will be talking about Last Call next week. Of course, you can find me every week here on the Wrestling RHAPUp, there over at Crime Scene, and on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2. You can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mari Talks Too Much as well. Let's see. I will also be participating in a few Big Brother podcasts on the RHAP network. So just make sure you're subscribed to RHAPhasawebsite.com/RHAPup's feed. That way, anything that comes up will be on that feed, or subscribe to the YouTube because it'll be on the YouTube at Rob Has a Podcast on YouTube. Of course, if you haven't already, you can go and follow us on the Wrestling RHAPUp podcast on Twitter. So that's at Wrestling RHAPUp, at Wrestling RHAPUP. You can use hashtag Wrestling RHAPUp to join the conversation. And then, of course, shout out to our unofficial Facebook group, Job Has a Squadcast. Shout out to everybody there. Thank you for all of the support. If you want to join this Job Has a Squadcast Facebook group, you can just message us and we'll get you right in there. And of course, anytime is a great time to become a RHAP patron. You know what I'm saying. Go to www.patreon.com/RHAP to become a patron of RHAP to get exclusive bonus content, including patron 5 for 5s, exclusive podcasts, and patron games, and access to the Discord and Facebook group. So thank you to Gilda Tintin Ventura, Taurean as well. And just want to say bye. And remember, wrestling is for everybody, but not all wrestling is for everyone. We, of course, will see you next week. Bye.
Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPUp's gonna make you sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris, and we coming every week and it's feeling like a party. Moolah Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, Roman Reigns and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling liver RHAPUp's gonna make you sorry. Feeling like The Rock cause I'm driving in Ferraris, and we coming every week and it's feeling like a party.